So me.
Excuse me, Madam President.
Pill? It's going to be a long flight.
No, thank you.
Imagine being a bird, soaring through the sky with no limit, free to go wherever you choose. But now, picture that same bird locked in a cage, no longer flying, no longer free, nothing more than a pet of somebody else. Would you accept that fate, or would you risk everything to escape it? Before she was Songbird, she was just Song So Mi, a teenage netrunner searching for freedom in the digital abyss. But freedom in Night City is an illusion. The deeper you dive, the closer you get to drowning. And Somi, she was going off the deep end. Born on December 29th, 2045, Song So Mi was raised by her mother in New York City. From an early age, she was drawn to the digital world, obsessed with peeling back its layers and seeing what lay beyond. At just 13, she convinced a local Ripper doc to sell her an old cyberdeck, her first real step in the netrunning underworld. As she grew older, netrunning became more than a skill. It was an obsession. She moved into her own apartment in Brooklyn, balancing life between her friends, her relationships, and the net. But no matter how much connection she had to the real world, it was the net that was her true home. She sought out the darkest corners of cyberspace, jacking in from abandoned buildings, chasing higher risks for even greater rewards. Some saw her as reckless, but she saw herself as free. Her hunger for bigger jobs pushed her into dangerous territory, including hacking into a fermentation lab owned by Biotechnica, a chemical engineering company and one of the big corporations of Night City. They say Icarus flew too close to the sun, but Song? She was crashing headfirst into it. At the age of 19, Somi breached a Militech data fort, using one of the military bases as a proxy. It was the kind of move that will put a target on your back, and that target had been painted on hers. The Federal Intelligence Agency took notice, and so did Netwatch, the organization that policed the net's deepest layers. But where Netwatch saw a threat that needed to be eliminated, the FIA saw an opportunity. They sent one of their own agents, Solomon Reed, not to eliminate Somi, but to recruit her.
Making me leave my home, my friends, everything worth a damn to me?
What's ahead is important. Worth so much more.
Yeah, no. Hard pass.
Dick, Netwatch rolls up here. What happens to you people? We trust you. We care about you. Netwatch will know who lent you the eddies for your deck, who let you tap into the subnet of the cafe downstairs. Understand this. And the one chance of keeping you safe, your friends safe. Or sure, let them get hurt.
And just like that, Song So Mi was gone. The life she had built, the freedom she had fought for, erased at an instant. In her place, a new name was given, a codename, Songbird. Songbird swore an oath to the new United States of America and its president, Rosalind Myers. But oaths are just words, and words, they can be broken. A caged bird can sing all it wants, but in the end, it's still trapped. And Songbird, no matter how high she climbed, no matter how much power she had, she never stopped looking for an escape. Songbird was already a brilliant netrunner, but under the FIA and Reed's guidance, she became one of the most formidable runners alive. Her skills earned her the seat at the right hand of President Myers herself. In the eyes of the NUSA, she was a national treasure, the type of assets wars were fought over. But to Songbird, it was just another cage. Even with all the power, the prestige, the influence, she longed for what she had lost. She was a Brooklyn kid who lived for the thrill of the net, and yet every move she made was for someone else's agenda. One night, during an undercover mission in Night City, she stood on a rooftop, watching the skyline stretch across the horizon. She wasn't thinking about the mission. She wasn't thinking about the NUSA. For the first time in years, she was just Song So Mi again. She thought about Brooklyn and the net, about the freedom that she once had and how she'd never get that back. But freedom always has a cost, and soon she'd be forced to decide how much she was willing to pay. In the year 2070, at the end of the Unification War, Songbird and Reed are sent on one final mission to eliminate an Arasaka admiral, but before they could pull the trigger, Myers called them off. The mission was over and they were to return to the NUSA immediately, but something just didn't feel right. And the next morning, it was confirmed. The admiral and his entire family had been assassinated in a sabotaged attack, a mission that they never even carried out. Someone else had done it for them. Reed, just as shocked as Songbird, decided to rescue the last FIA agent left behind in Night City, and when the dust settled from that, it was time to leave, and there was only one person he trusted to get him out. She told him there was a way out, a train bound for California. Reed followed her plan without hesitation because he had always trusted her, always believed in her.
Yeah. What about you? Get your ticket out yet?
I hear the government's sealing a deal.
I told you. You're the president's favorite. You're gonna walk out of this on a red carpet.
Yeah, sure.
Hey, you deserve it. I wouldn't be alive if it wasn't for you. So maybe we got a passenger and he's carrying. I think we might be compromised. Can you hack the trap? Soon.
Songbird had betrayed him. For years, Reed had been more than just a mentor. He was the closest thing she had to family. He had saved her life once, and now she was handing him over to die. Why? Because loyalty meant nothing without freedom. She had been waiting for her moment, and when it came, she made her choice. Survival over everything. Reed was left behind, and Songbird continued serving Myers. If she had any regret, she never showed it. Her next mission, the Blackwall. Myers gave the order, breach the Blackwall, the only thing keeping rogue AIs from bleeding into the net. The job was beyond dangerous, but Songbird had no choice. She had walked over the bodies of her past to get here, and there was no turning back. The Blackwall was never meant to be crossed, but Songbird, she didn't have a choice. Each breach carved into her mind, her body, reshaping her from the inside out. She was losing herself piece by piece. The constant breaches had begun taking a toll on Songbird. The damage to her organic body was irreversible. To survive, she replaced more and more of herself with cybernetics. But the deeper she went, the less of Song So Mi remained. By 2077, she was at her breaking point. Her body was failing, her mind fracturing. If she didn't escape now, she would never. And so, she made one final deal. A deal with Kurt Hanson, the warlord of Dogtown. Hanson had something Songbird needed, a neural matrix stored in an old Militech bunker. To her, this was a cure. But in exchange, he wanted something far more valuable, the president of the NUSA. The plan was simple. Songbird would sabotage the Space Force 1 flight. Once they landed, Hanson would take Myers hostage. But things went horribly wrong. Hanson never intended to take Myers alive. The moment he had the chance, he fired a missile, forcing the ship down himself. Realizing that she had been played, Songbird fought for survival. She managed to lock Myers in a safe room before ejecting herself out of the spaceship. But freedom is never that easy. A bird that escapes one cage often finds itself in another. Alone and vulnerable, she reached out to the only person who could help her. V, desperate for a cure to stop the relic from killing them, agreed. Songbird guided V to the crash site, helping them rescue Myers and even hacking an old Chimera war machine to protect them from Hanson's forces. But her glimpse of freedom was short-lived. Hanson captured her. Once again, she was caged. Myers, now safely recovered, enlisted Reed and another FIA agent named Alex to rescue Songbird. The plan was simple. V would be given an icebreaker, a program designed to shut Songbird down and return her to the NUSA. A simple mission, but in Night City, no choice is ever that simple. If V chose to help Songbird, they would escape through the sewers. Making their way to the NCX spaceport, Songbird could take a shuttle to the Tycho lunar colony for a surgery that can save her life. But they weren't alone. Reed and Myers were waiting. They fought through the FIA forces, eventually boarding a monorail, and in the silence of that moment, Songbird finally confessed. She had lied to V. The neural matrix, the so-called cure, can only be used once. She had never planned on saving them both. At that moment, V had to decide again. Did they continue to help Songbird, knowing she had betrayed them just as she betrayed Reed? Or do they turn her in? Freedom for one, or justice for all the lives she had torn apart. But let's rewind the clock. What if V did use the icebreaker? If V chose to use the icebreaker, they betrayed Songbird to Reed and the NUSA. But Songbird wouldn't go quietly. In rage and desperation, she reached into the Blackwall one last time, and that's when she lost herself completely. Cyberpsychosis took hold. No longer Songbird, no longer Somi. Just something else. Her rampage attacked MaxTech, an elite cyberpsycho hunting unit of the NCPD. She was captured, loaded into a convoy, and transported to an undisclosed location. But Songbird was not done fighting. Using her last remaining strength, she hacked the convoy and escaped to Cynosure facility, a long-abandoned Militech research lab buried deep underground. V followed behind. But what they found wasn't Songbird. It was a ghost, a woman being consumed by something beyond human understanding. The Blackwall AIs that had infected Songbird attacked V, dragging them to the brink of death. And then, she saved him. For all of the lies, for all of the betrayals, in her final moments, she chose to save one last person. But she could no longer save herself. Connected to the core of the Cynosure, her body beyond saving, she made one last request. V had to choose. Did they grant her mercy and end her suffering? Or do they keep her alive, condemning her to a fate worse than death? No matter the choice, one question remains. Was Songbird ever truly free? Some say she deserved to be brought back to the NUSA. After all, she betrayed everyone who had trusted her. Reed, Myers, V. But others see something deeper. She was a prisoner from the moment she was born. First to the NUSA, then to the Blackwall. Every escape was just another cage. If she made it to the space shuttle, would she really be free? If she was taken back to the NUSA, what would become of her? And if she died, was that the closest thing to true freedom she ever had? No matter what choice V makes, one thing remains true. Song So-mi was never meant to fly. But what of the man she left behind? Solomon Reed, the mentor who trained her, trusted her, and ultimately was betrayed by her. A man who dedicated his life to proving his loyalty to the NUSA, a loyalty that in the end may have cost him everything. Was Reed a hero? A fool? Or just another pawn in the same game? We dive into his life and the choices that sealed his fate in the next video, which you can click here to watch.